What's up, YouTube? This is Morgan, also known as Jew, and tomorrow Georgia Tech will be playing Florida State for their matchup that will be this season. This is Georgia Tech's second Atlantic Division game of the season. So I'm going to go through my thoughts, what Georgia Tech needs to do well to win, what just really needs to happen for this game to be close, and just what we can expect from this game. So without further ado, let's get into it. So one of the biggest factors for this Georgia Tech team is going to be the health at the quarterback position. Jeff Sims has been listed as day-to-day, and I believe Chip Long said he's expected to play. He's been full pads in practice and whatnot, but he still is listed as day-to-day. The concern is if players such as Zach Pyron or Zach Gibson either or have to play, what happens to this very poor offense. In my opinion, the offense is kind of designed around... It doesn't not designed, but it benefits and it plays to the strengths of Jeff Sims rather than these other two quarterbacks. Being able to have the mobility to scramble or make these option plays is not really beneficial to Pyron or Gibson. At least we haven't seen from Pyron. We have no idea. But especially from Gibson, we won't see as much. So the health of the quarterback position really puts Tech in a rough spot for this game if they weren't already. Florida State is they're a mediocre team this season. They're limping right now. And honestly, what they're limping because of is one of the reasons Tech has a chance in this game, and that's going to be turnovers. Georgia Tech is the number 4 team in the entire nation in turnover differential. They've created 16 and only gave away 6, so they're at plus 10. Georgia Tech has just been a monster at creating turnovers. They haven't done too much with the turnovers, but if their offense can put themselves in a spot to win this game, then the turnovers will be really, really huge. They're also very good at pressuring and creating tackles for loss. The run game has been Florida State's strong suit, and yes, Georgia Tech gives up about 4.1 yards per carry. But the biggest stat, that's a very note, is an Ole Miss game that we got destroyed on the rush. We still had 12 tackles for loss. So tackles for loss and creating these tackles for loss in tackles on the backfield are what Tech really needs to be able to have a chance in this game. Also, I think if Jeff Sims isn't in, then the game's just over right then and there. I think there's a better chance if Sims plays that we have a better chance at winning or even coming close. But overall, I gotta say necessarily, I think that Georgia Tech is screwed in this game, and there isn't much to say about it. Tech is very poor in a lot of stats, especially when in offensive efficiency, they're very near the bottom of the entire FBS. And Florida State, yes, they've struggled through these past few games, but they also have a very strong running game. If we can somehow find a way to stop their running game and make them pass it more, I think that leads into more of a consistent chance. Let's see. Where is this? So Florida State is favored by 24 points, somewhere around there, and I think that's a pretty fair line. It's at Florida State. Tech, with the interim head coach, is finally off its emotional high of the 2 straight wins, but we're also coming off a huge loss to Virginia, which definitely puts the morale a lot lower than it was, as well as just creates more issues with what we see with Jeff Sims. Another issue that was very huge and very prominent in that Virginia game was that they didn't let our playmakers make plays. The defensive playmakers were outstanding and phenomenal, and there's no other thing to say about it. The offense, Zach Gibson, what he needed to do was let playmakers like Malachi Carter and Nate McCullum and Hassan Hall just go out and make plays. That was the biggest issue and concern. That had nothing to do with the quarterback position. I feel like Chip Long tried to create too much of a running game when the running game very obviously wasn't there, and didn't rely on Zach Gibson trying to throw it or even do these short little passes or something. He didn't try to move towards the passing game once the running game wasn't working. He just stuck with the run game. So I think more consistent play calling will be another huge issue, or not huge issue, huge priority we should have. I don't know if we'll necessarily see it, but that's going to be a huge thing. Let me look at what this thing says for Florida State to do well. So what do we need to really stop? So they struggle in the red. Florida State struggles very much in the red zone. So preventing them from scoring touchdowns. Georgia Tech has been very good at the past 3 weeks of not allowing touchdowns and creating this bend don't break mentality. And it shows that their defense is much better at once it gets past about the 50-yard line. Tech's defense kind of locks in. So I think that's a huge key. Another key is just creating turnovers. That's creating turnovers and being able to score is more the huge keys to this game. I don't really see a world where Georgia Tech wins this, sadly, as much as I want it. Georgia Tech is trending in the right direction to make a bowl, but we need to find 3 games. And Virginia Tech, I don't remember. I didn't see the score. I'm going to look at the score. This video is going to have no editing, so you're going to see me going through because I have stuff to do today. Virginia Tech lost. They were up for a very big portion of that game, so that's really funny to me. But considering they competed like that against NC State at NC State, I feel like that says a lot about Virginia Tech, so it's not just an easy win anymore. Same like with Virginia. None of them are easy wins. Everything has to be earned from here on out, and Georgia Tech's chances at a bowl are very much slipping. Granted, there's no expectation to even make a bowl at this point. It kind of is like if it happens, it happens. Most Tech fans are kind of looking forward to the next season where we can basically just, I don't know, be happy. That's something Tech fans haven't had in a while. There's been no hope. But I feel like moving forward with the head coach and getting a recruiting class, that with a coach that actually knows how to coach, as well as a good recruiting class, I think Tech has been a much better decision for the rest of the season, or not rest of the season, rest of the future. Keynote is if Collins wasn't here and we had a different head coach for this season, we might have players like Jahmyr Gibbs still here. We might have players like that are making impacts on all these transfer teams. I can't even put all the names into a thought, but we have players that are winning SEC Defensive Player of the Weeks, SEC Offensive Player of the Weeks, at much better teams, and are producing at high levels that are putting a much better chance in the NFL, to make the NFL at least. But so yeah, those are my thoughts for this game, I guess. I score prediction, I see it's going to be like, I'm going to say like 24-7. That's generous for Tech, scoring 7 points. But I'm going to put it as 24-7. Florida State does a lot of their damage mostly in the first half and then let it slip away in the second half, from what I've seen at least. So it's going to be a very interesting game, for sure. Might be a very boring game, noon game. Also, Jeff Sims' first career game was against Florida State, and it was a win, so he's looking to move to 2-0 in his career against Florida State. And somehow we beat them in the Jeff Collins era. So those are my thoughts for this game. I know this video is very all over the place. As you know, most of these videos are all over the place. I'm going to be releasing a video soon, either today or tomorrow, about NBA. There's been a lot of thoughts that I've had recently. I just haven't had the time to do it. So yeah, I'm going to be out. Subscribe if you want to subscribe, if you want more content, Georgia Tech or sports in general. Like the video if you like the video. I know there's no consistent thought, but yeah, like the video just to help me out. I'm going to be out. Deuces.